So if you're not aware, a image is being leaked and it claims to be the next Star Wars poster or concept art for the new Star Wars Episode 9 poster. And for me, I don't believe this. I think this is some sort of fan art or some sort of fake poster. And the reason is just the quality, even as concept art, isn't very good. For example, if you take the Star Wars logo, the quality is nowhere near as good as the official posters. But you would think if they were going to make a concept art, they would have the logo as crisp and clear as the Star Wars logo, because that's quite easy to do, especially for a highly experienced professional graphic designer. That would be like a sort of basic element they would do. There's also a few points on here. Now, if you take this light, this kind of star light with the circle around it, you don't see that with the other lightsabers in the other posters. This here from the Starkiller base, that light there. But with the other lightsabers, you don't see that. And it doesn't suit the lightsaber. So again, it really puzzles me why that is there. Now these ships at the back here, that style is from a book. There's a number of Star Wars books that have got that image on, almost identical, and I think someone has taken that from a book. And if the Star Wars poster designers have done that, I'll be very surprised, because they're just copying their own work too much. Also, it seems crammed on the page. If you look, especially the Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, the Force Awakens is a great poster, really excellent poster. Whereas this is just crammed onto the page. It's too squeezed in. It just looks like a set of characters that they've all tried to squeeze onto the page. Whereas these two posters, the scale and the sizing is done extremely well. I'm also really disappointed and confused about these red stormtroopers. I think this looks horrendous, looks really bad, really silly, because I've seen some people saying that the red stormtroopers are working for the Knights of Ren, but that really takes away the whole legitimacy and power of the Knights of Ren, because they're supposed to be like this renegade army or group that self-sufficient, and that's what makes them appealing, because they're new, they're bold and unpredictable. If they're controlling these stormtroopers, it makes it a little bit more predictable, and you might as well get Captain Phasma to do that. You might have some other character controlling a group of stormtroopers. So for me, if they do that, I think that's a really terrible idea. Now, you've also got C-3PO with a bowcaster, but he's also got an ammunitions belt, and I think that's a really terrible thing to do, because if they are going to do that, they're putting C-3PO in a military role or a battle role, and that's not the role of the droid. Droids is to be clever and witty, do something different and unique, like you saw with C-3PO and BB-8, to have this whole personality that's away from the fighting. They would use other methods of taking a role in a battle other than using a weapon like a bowcaster. You might see C-3PO pick it up, fire it once, but for him to carry an ammunitions belt, that doesn't make any sense to me. It's not logical, because again, it takes away from what Rey is doing. Rey is supposed to be the one who uses her abilities as a Jedi or a lightsaber user, and also the characters like Finn and Poe, they're the ones who are supposed to do the battle. So if you have droids having to join them, it makes them look as if they're not very good. And that's the same concept with the Knights of Ren. If the Knights of Ren are having to use foot soldiers to do the work for them, that takes away from their whole character, and it takes away from the whole, what makes Star Wars so special is you have these really strong, unique characters that have these specific skills, and for them to kind of offshoot the work to other people to kind of ruins it. I think that would be a really terrible thing to do. But what I am glad, if this is the poster, I'm really pleased, because The Last Jedi was all in red, even though the characters, like you've got Luke Skywalker in red, and then you've got Kylo Ren in red, and then you've got this red sand here. It's all just red. It looks horrendous. When you compare it to The Force Awakens, this is a really high class poster. This is just a complete disaster. It's all in red, and also the individual character posters are all in the same colour, so it was just colour coded based on red, and then Solo came along and it was colour coded in orange, and that was even worse. So I'm glad they've gone away from silly colour coding like they had with Last Jedi and Solo, and gone back to this Force Awakens where it's a battle of red versus blue and two sides, good against evil, and bring it back to kind of a basic identifiable concept instead of just colour coding every movie with its own poster. It's childish. So there are some good points of this poster if it is the genuine poster. But for me, I'd be very disappointed in these red stormtroopers, especially if they're no different to the white stormtrooper, because it's not adding anything new. It's just adding a new colour. The new colour doesn't add anything to the story, it would appear. But this is good concept art at best, but it's nowhere near if you compare it, as you can see for yourself, it's nowhere near anything like these two posters. This at best is like a annual. So if they release a 2020 Star Wars annual, this might be the image they would use at best, but it's nowhere near a poster that's going to invite or motivate people to spend $1.5 billion watching a movie. These posters would, but this is nowhere near it. And the idea that they would have a professional graphic designer, he or she can't even put the Star Wars logo as crisp as these other two posters, that doesn't really make much sense. So let me know what you think. If you like this poster, complete your choice. But what do you think is the best poster? What do you think the Force Awakens poster? For me, this is a great poster. This is awful. This means nothing. This just confuses everything, and it's conveniently all red. It doesn't tell a story based on the colours. Well, this does. This tells a really clear story of red versus blue, good versus evil. But what do you think to this poster? If this was the legitimate poster they used, what do you think to it? So again, leave your comments below, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe.